This video will show you how to attach Priefert's S04-2 carriage receiver to a model S04 squeeze chute, and how to then attach a CA04-2 carriage to the chute using your installed receiver. You'll need two 3/4 inch tools, like a socket ratchet and a wrench, and two 15/16 tools. You'll also need a lifting device, like a tractor or a forklift. You will begin by attaching the front plates to each side of the headgate using the included U-bolts and your 3/4 inch tool. Begin by lining one plate up on the front side of the headgate, making sure that the 4 holes along one side of the plate are to the outside edge. The U-bolts will go around the vertical side pipe of the headgate. The first will go around above the connection point of the bottom horizontal pipe of the headgate, while the bottom U-bolt will go below the horizontal pipe. Put both U-bolts into place around the side pipe of the headgate and fit them through the corresponding bolt holes on the plate. Place the nuts on the U-bolts. Be sure to slide the plate up so that the bottom U-bolt is touching the bottom of the horizontal pipe of the headgate. Then tighten all the nuts. Repeat this process to attach the second front plate on the other side of the headgate. Using your lifting device, carefully lift the front of the squeeze chute off the ground. We recommend using a forklift or the forks on your tractor to lift the chute. Once you have the chute front lifted, securely block under the chute to ensure that it remains lifted at least 4 to 6 inches off the ground. You will now need to disassemble the receiver axle by removing the bolt from the end of the receiver axle with your 15/16 tool. You should now be able to slide the end off of the axle bar. Next, place the receiver bar with the welded end onto the receiver block that's welded onto the floor of the S04 squeeze chute. Make sure that you're attaching this on the operator side of the chute. If you're looking straight at the chute from the headgate, the operator side of the chute will be on your right. Slide the flat bar of the axle under the chute and fit the welded square tube over the receiver block on the chute floor. Make sure that the piece with the carriage receiver tab is facing toward the front of the chute. Now, move to the other side of the squeeze chute with the 2 remaining pieces of the receiver axle. You should see the long flat axle bar sticking out from under the chute. Lift this up against the floor of the chute, aligning it with the block welded on the chute floor. Pick up the short flat bar of the receiver axle. With the bend pointed downward, fit the tab on the end of the bar into the slot on the flat axle bar. You should now have the axle block on the chute floor sandwiched between 2 flat pieces of the receiver axle. Slide the final piece of the receiver axle over these bars. Again, making sure that the side of the square tube with the receiver tab is facing the front of the chute. Replace the bolt back into the end of the receiver axle and tighten firmly with your 15/16 tool. You can now use your lifting device to lift the chute, remove your block, and then lower the chute back to the ground. You're now ready to assemble the carriage itself. Begin by removing the bolts from the plates on the carriage hitch with your 3/4 inch tools. Slide the carriage hitch into place in front of the chute. You'll need to line it up around the plates on the front of the chute. When properly aligned, you can replace the bolts with 1 bolt on either side of the alignment plate. Tighten the bolts firmly with your 3/4 inch tools to secure the hitch in place. Next, remove the linch pins from the tabs on the back of the carriage, and remove the linch pins and attachment pins from the attachment point on each side of the carriage. Lift the carriage hitch to approximately chest height and roll the carriage around the front side of the chute. Center the carriage so that the tires will roll down either side of the chute. Roll the carriage toward the chute, lining up the tabs on the back side of the carriage so that they roll into the slots on the carriage receiver axle. Secure the linch pins back into the tabs on the back side of the carriage once they're through the slots on the receiver axle. Now, move to the front of the chute on one side. Carefully push down on the front of the carriage, lifting the back of the chute. Continue pushing the front of the carriage down until you can slide the attachment pin into one of the holes on the front plate that you mounted to the headgate. The hole setting that you select corresponds to the receiver ball height on your vehicle. The higher the hole selected, the higher the receiver height the carriage will accommodate. If you have a low receiver height, you may want to select one of the lower setting options. Replace the linch pin into the attachment pin to secure this pin in place. You can now move to the other side of the chute and push the other side of the carriage down until you can place the attachment pin into the same hole setting on the opposite front plate. Again, replace the linch pin into the back of the attachment pin to secure the connection. Now, you're ready to hook the chute up to your vehicle. This receiver is designed to hook to a 2-inch ball. You should be able to lift up on the carriage and roll the receiver with the chute onto the hitch of your vehicle. If the chute does not appear level when the hitch is attached to your receiver, you may need to select a different setting on the front attachment plate to better match your receiver height. Once you've moved your chute to the desired location, you're ready to remove the carriage. Begin by removing the linch pins securing the attachment pin on one side of the front of the chute. Push down on the front of the carriage and carefully remove the attachment pin. Move to the other side of the chute and remove the linch pin securing the front attachment pin on that side. Again, push down on the front of the carriage and carefully remove the attachment pin, keeping downward pressure on the front of the carriage. Once this pin is removed, slowly lower the back of the chute by raising the front of the carriage. You can now remove the linch pins securing the attachment tabs to the receiver on each side of the chute. With these pins removed, you can roll the carriage forward away from the chute. If you have any questions about your product, please give us a call at 1-800-527-8616 or visit us on the web at Priefert.com. Priefert, America's #1 name in farm, ranch, and rodeo equipment.